Well, greetings. Here we are for the Women's Coaching and Consulting Council, sponsored by C-Suite Network. I'm Kathleen Caldwell. We have a program for you today. You're going to love this. Just jumping right in because everyone is interested in accelerating their mental performance. And we know you want that too. So thank you again. I'm Kathleen Caldwell, founder of this marvelous council. We are here to showcase you, highlight you, support you as a woman coach, consultant, trusted advisor, thought leader, author, speaker, and I am all of those things too. And I love our council. I love our council, and I love each of you for being here. Yes, I did use the L word. It is a 4-letter word, and I love it. So I just doing a quick Google search just to set the context for today's program. You know, you can't get on a search engine and not really get what's up with people's attention span. You know, since COVID, I think things have really changed. I don't know if our brain chemistry has changed or whatever, but I notice life is speeding up. I'm speeding up as I'm talking about and thinking about it. And our heart rate is moving up and our brain has to move faster. And just doing a quick search about what's happening with a people's attention span. Just today, there are over 320 billion with a B results. There's a lot of activity. And you know the research that our attention span as human beings went from, in 2000, 12 seconds as we're scrolling and we're looking things, now to 8.25 seconds. That's where the brain neuroplasticians are saying we're going. So what that means is we want to be sharper, more focused, have a better attention span so we can be more effective as coaches and consultants and trusted advisors. So with that, we're going to just jump right in. It is my delight and pleasure to introduce my friend, John Kennedy. John Kennedy is a Chicago guy from the Chicagoland area, founder of the Kennedy Method. He is a mental performance executive coach. He is the founder of the Mental Performance Institute, #1 best-selling author. John is incredible, terrific person, worked with Marines, athletes, young children, women in business, men in business, teams, leaders. He is all over the place. And so John is going to take us through a short presentation about our mental performance, how we can improve it and accelerate it. And then we're going to actually get into the business of doing it. So John, I'd like to turn the podium over to you, and then we're going to take some Q&A, but this is going to be accelerated, right, John? Because that's what the name of the game here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kathleen. Let me just share my screen real quick. As Kathleen mentioned, so we're actually rebranding. I used to be primarily around the brain training, and now we've incorporated so many parts of performance improvement based on the initial concept. So basically now it's called the Kennedy Method. I'll explain a little bit more what that is later. I want to give you a little bit of background so you know where I'm coming from. And then, as Kathleen mentioned, I'm actually going to take you through one of our exercises. Now, we'll do it on the screen. This deck will be available for you. Just request it, and we can get you actually a hard copy because, as Kathleen showed you, it's a piece of paper. When we use more parts of our brain, engage them, we actually can make the brain change faster. So the first thing I want to do is, well, the little background, right? So basically, as Kathleen mentioned, I've been a lifelong problem solver. It's kind of been a bane of my existence and also my success. Going back to when I was just a kid growing up in a big house in New York, I would try to deliberately get myself lost with my brothers so we could find our way back. And then when we went to Japan for high school, my dad worked for IBM, did the same thing. The goal was always try to get yourself lost so you can find your way back. And that led to a lot of innovations in business. I developed the first handheld computer to measure energy efficiency when that was a big thing. And so I've always tried to solve problems, and I love doing that. And then, as I'll go in a little more detail, in 2007, I got a contract. The biggest problem: how do we save lives and improve resiliency in our men in combat? And so everything that I've done before that has led up to it. I'm going to show you that a little bit, but I just want to play this video for you. This will kind of give you an idea of the range of people we've been able to help, which is what really inspires me. And hopefully you'll be able to hear the sound as well. And I like that because it demonstrates that it doesn't matter what we're doing, if we can improve the ability of our brain to process information, regardless of our starting baseline, we can improve our lives. And so basically, for 25 years, Project Rescue Specialist, I developed a very proprietary method of improving the processes critical to these projects. And we got them done. I loved what I was doing. Kind of just as a summary, built the first project management office at Abbott Labs, a lot of Y2K stuff for Motorola. I managed the largest Y2K transition of that organization, 20 countries, thousands of people. Again, improving the processes they relied on, we made it more efficient. So Aon, those 23 little projects, I remember I walked into by reputation, I got all this work. The CIO, I walk in, the CIO of Aon, insurance, right? Chicago, she goes, John, I have these 20 projects. The board of directors is dinging me every time. We can't get them done. We work on them for 3 months. For 3 years, I'm sorry. And then I close them all in 3 months, right? So that was a kind of thing with pulling teams around, a common process, and then getting them done. And then, of course, a lot of Sarbanes-Oxley. But then the biggest thing that happened to me was in 2006 when my brother came back from Iraq. My younger brother, my personal hero, volunteered. He was actually in the reserves. He was a missionary in Zimbabwe for 6 years, volunteered to go to Iraq, rejoin the army, lost several men under him. And the most insidious weapon that our enemy has are IEDs. Those are the improvised explosive devices. You can have a bomb in a pile of garbage in a corner and a trigger man a mile away with binoculars. You don't know what's coming. And so I thought, wow, maybe this is an opportunity to help save lives as opposed to just helping businesses make more money. So I was able to talk myself into this event the Marines held every year at 29 Palms, which is their largest training base. And the whole purpose of this was to invite contractors. So big guys like Boeing and Honeywell, little guys like me, expose us to as much about IEDs as possible, and then hope someone could come up with an innovative solution. So, and they did, right? Bigger companies that came with better armor, better radio jammers. But what occurred to me was, because I'm a process guy, the Marines are the most process centric. There's no way I could help them with their operational processes. But the Marines who led us around had all survived IED attacks. And the consistent story was, I started going down this one street, this one alley. Something told me something was wrong and I went a different way. The guys behind me kept going and they got attacked. So why we have two Marines, similar demographics, similar training, one has better what we would call intuition, not only sensing the danger, but also acting on it. And so I really looked into this. There's any way I could do something for the brain. And I was able to talk to the Marine General, Doug Stone, the base commander, and start to share with him my ideas. This book was instrumental. Norman Doid's A Brain That Changed Itself came out at that time. And it all talks about neuroplasticity. So basically, everything we do, say, or even think, when we repeat it, it starts to change our brain physically to make those ruts. So everything from habits, so we think, to the way we throw a ball, the way we talk. When we repeat it, those become reinforced because of neuroplasticity. So then I actually created the field of applied neuroplasticity, specifically for this engagement with the Marine Corps. And it has three components. One, I'm a process guy. I had to define the processes that are critical to executive function. So we're going to talk a little bit when we do our exercise about break it down, think it through, and execute. But there's also a sub-process underneath that help us make that. And the whole purpose is to make our process constantly unconscious. So when we execute, it's fast and conscious. We anticipate something's happening and it's going to happen. So those are the parts of executive function we want to work. Very critical research. Again, I think this is a God wink that it came out just at this time. Out of MIT, they found that using what they call robust stimulation, we can make these changes happen not in a week or in a month, but immediately. And you're going to experience a little bit of this. And so for that, I knew I had to target enough parts of the brain to make the brain work hard, but also that are connected to the brain to make real world improvements as well. And then finally, a lot of my work was agile. You learn, you improve, you learn, you improve, you improve. And so the exercise you're going to do today, for example, is a derivative of the very first one we did with the Marine Corps almost 16 years ago. It's just improved over time. So that was what I created. I call it applied neuroplasticity because we're applying the process reengineering approach to the brain using neuroplasticity as a medium. And hypothesis was accepted. I got a contract. So I have a contract with the Marine Corps, but it was actually, there was some caveats to it, right? So typically, if you want to Google sometime what is 17 years, you'll find that's the average time for a research-based experiment hypothesis to actually produce something. Okay, I had 3 months. My contract specified I had 3 months to try to make a difference, and I'd never done this before. And it was a full Department of Defense experiment. We had a control platoon of 40 guys randomly chosen, and I got to choose the platoon that I would want to work with to see if I could make a difference. And I chose the worst as my test, because if I could help these guys at all, I want to help these guys. So 40 guys, they lost 16 guys a cycle before from a helicopter crash and IED attacks, rampant PDS. In fact, the staff sergeant came up to me in tears and said, these guys are going to ruin my career. They get in so much trouble every weekend. And then my CO was kicking my butt about it. 3 suicide attempts, bottom in their training results. So I embedded with these guys. I started to develop the exercise. These are the most amazing, one of the most amazing experiences of my life. I mean, when you're sitting out in the desert, away from any kind of water or any kind of, civilization, in a foxhole with a bunch of Marines. It was just the most amazing guys. I got great relationships with, they're still some of my friends. But during that time, they helped me develop these exercises. So 3 months later, no more behavioral issues. The CO said they moved better and differently than any he'd ever seen. And what was very cool was not only were they now the best platoon in that battalion, but when they went to their final pre-deployment training in 29 Palms, the instructor said it was the best he'd ever seen. So incredible transformation in just 3 months. And that was just very preliminary exercise, but at least I knew it would work. So then the next task was to try to implement this into their schoolhouse. So I trained their instructors how to do this. And 2 very important classes, infantry squad leaders course, young guys, they got to lead men into combat. Average score across the Marine Corps, 82, with now I call it combat brain training, up to 94, highest ever in the school. Same thing with the snipers course, 30 to 40% typical dropout rate, only 1 drop per class, highest marksmanship. So every time I do this, I keep finding best ever. So it was very encouraging to me. And in fact, then I spread throughout the Department of Defense. So Navy SEALs, snipers, armies, leadership from staff sergeants all the way up to generals would go through this course and have significant improvements. So then I had to go to the civilian sector because military funding was starting to get cut. This was with a change of administration about 12 years ago. So athletes are pretty much the closest environment to combat, right? You got everything except no one's shooting at you, right? So that and probably business leadership are the most similar. Business leadership is like military leadership. You've got your enemy you've got to worry about. You've got your people you've got to protect. You've got to lead your people. Same thing in the sports environment. So very quickly, quarterback, Trevor Harris, that first year, quarterback rating 10 points higher than Tom Brady. And he says that when he does the exercises before he plays, he gets into flow state. He can immediately pick out his receivers. He's got one of the highest completion records of any quarterback in any league. Golfers, right? A lot of people, business people play golf, same thing. What's the problem with golf? You have so many things to think about, your swing, whatever. My golfers now, in fact, Ron Carr is one of my clients in C-suite. He says now he can walk up to the ball and hit it without taking a practice swing. That's what we want. We want your brain to do everything it needs to, and you go up and hit. And this guy, 266 that year. And then I just mentioned the SUU gymnastics team. I'm so proud of these guys. I stopped by to visit them on my road trip. Same girls as the year before with the brain training, and we've got great videos of them. They would practice before every one of their practices or any one of their meets just for a few minutes. Their first conference championship ever, and more significantly probably for their future, highest number of academic All-Americans. It helps learn better as well. And of course, the coach loved it because he got Coach of the Year. And now one of my favorite clients, Kat Perez, was the goalie for the Columbia World Cup team. They made it all the way up until they lost to England, who went on to win the World Cup. Phenomenal. I would meet with her before her meets, and it was just a wonderful person to work with. Students. So I worked with the football team at an inner city school in Chicago, and the coach was also an advisor. He said, I'd love you to come work with my kids. So inner city kids, they suffer for a lot, right? Post-traumatic stress disorder from ACE, not the best learning environments, typically a lot of negative incidences, poor impulse control, which is really one of the causes of some of the violence in the inner city. So I worked with him just 15 minutes, 3 times a week over 8 weeks. And they went from the lowest to the highest ACT scores in the school. 3 full points they went up on average, higher grades and less negative behavior. But we all measure success differently, right? This is all to improve, to get up to a point. Robert was one of my favorite clients, very severe depression, bipolar disorder. He was, when I first met with him, he was sitting in a corner on a sofa, all, overweight, in a hoodie, scruffy beard or whatever. Started work with Robert, and then after 6 sessions, he'd shaved, he was starting to work out, taking music classes, and was trying to look for work. I worked with him for about maybe 4 or 5 months, and I checked in with him about 6 months later. He had a full-time job. He was playing music, he lost 100 pounds, and his mom could not believe the change, right? So it doesn't matter where we're starting from, right? If we can improve our brain's efficiency, make them faster, more efficient with better focus, we can change our lives. So now back to business. So just a couple things. And again, I like to put these out there because I want you to start thinking about areas of your own life where you might want to improve or people you care about. So for business, worked with a leadership team of an insurance company in Chicago, and it was amazing how much faster they were learning. The CEO noticed a difference. Kind of a funny side story, after I worked with them, the whole leadership team, about 2 weeks later, got an email from their HR director. She said, we just had our quarterly budget meeting. It normally lasts several hours. Everybody hates each other. We were done in 90 minutes and everybody's singing Kumbaya. She actually used the word Kumbaya. So come back and train our sales and customer service teams, which I did. But when you start your meetings with these exercises, you know how people come to a meeting, they're thinking about all different kinds of things. They're engaged, they're laughing, they're focused, and your meetings will be done so much faster and you'll get so much more done in those meetings. Another team, right? So teams, they communicate faster, stress goes down. And then I also work with, I still bring in some of my process work to an organization. So if we can improve their operational processes very quickly, at the same time improving their mental processing very efficiently, we can have tremendous improvements within an organization. So just kind of summarize everything from sports teams to, if you guys from Chicago, you might remember the Loyola Ramblers, worked with them before they went to the Final Four. We've got a lot of missionaries I work with, a lot of missions in the city of Chicago, schools, law enforcement, doesn't matter. So far, since 2007, close to 9,000 people I've been able to help. But, and the reason is, and is because our brains are key to everything, right? No matter what we do, a lot of times I liken this to a computer. So you have all your different applications in your computer, right? You have games, you have, Outlook, you may have your browser, and you can upgrade each one of those, but it doesn't necessarily impact everything else, right? And so, and our brains are kind of the same way. So we can be an athlete, we can be a salesperson, we can be an instructor, and we can improve those by practice, right? It's neuroplasticity, that repetition, and we call it muscle memory, for example. We get better at that. But as you know, the fastest way to improve every application is just get a new one because the processor is faster. And so when we make your processing faster, everything gets better. And so just something to think about, some of the funny stories. I worked with a financial analyst, right? He was very overwhelmed, just got a promotion, didn't know if he was gonna be able to get through his first week. So I worked with him on a Friday and I expected an email the next week saying that things are going better, which I did. But what blew me away was Monday morning, he emailed me and said, hey, John, I got to tell you what happened. I ran through your exercises Saturday morning. I got more done around the house by noon than normally would all weekend. And my wife now says, when she talks to me, I'm focused on her. You already made my home life great. I can't wait to get to work. So these are the kind of things you notice, right? Because it's not one particular thing that we're doing, even though we may be focusing on that. It's every area of life can improve. So any questions before I actually take you through one of our exercises?
I don't know if there's a person on the planet that is better at building anticipation and proof, John, than you. So I think we're ready to jump in, right?
Okay, great.
Great job. Yeah, great.
Well, thank you. So again, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to take you through a basic exercise. Now, if you notice, it's just arrows on a piece of paper, right? The reason we chose arrows, and we looked at all different kinds of military symbols, because an arrow is the simplest symbol that requires a decision. When you look at an arrow, you typically define it by, oh, that's an up arrow or that's a right arrow. And now if we add color, you can make two different decisions from the same data set. But that process is the one I mentioned before. Break it down, think it through, and execute. When you look at an arrow, you have to break it down on what you want to do with it and think through and then execute. And we're going to demonstrate that in a second. So very, very simple, but then we're going to make your brain work harder as we proceed. So the first thing I want you to do, because it's kind of a test, right? We always want to start off with some kind of an assessment. I want you all to look at the arrow in the upper left-hand corner and tell me what color it is.
Red.
Red.
Okay, good. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry, I forgot to, unmute yourself. I'm sorry, unmute yourself and leave your videos on because this is important. Okay, excellent, red. And then what direction is it pointing?
The right.
Right.
Okay, you all pass the test, right? You can make decisions, right? And so a couple of things about that though, in order to do that, one, you had to focus on one arrow, strip everything else away. You had to break it down, look at what you're seeing. You had to think through, did I want color or direction? And then you had to execute by saying it. And when you say it out loud, you're actually engaging the connections to your eyes, ears, and mouth. So those are the connections we're starting to make with this. Now, what I want to do now, and I do this with every group. I've had 600 people in an auditorium, and I do one-on-one with Zoom, doesn't matter. We're going to get a baseline of your current processing ability. And so to do that, I'm going to time you as you read off all the arrows on the page. Now, it doesn't matter how long it takes. This is kind of a baseline, but just the directions, left to right, like you're reading a page in a book, except they're arrows instead of words. So right, left, down, up would be the first four. Go, top to bottom, read. I'll start the timer when I say go, and I'll stop at the end. When you're done, just raise your hand, and we'll just see what kind of a range we have. Now, because we want to simulate real life, where we're under a little bit of stress, we're going to make it a race. Okay, so when I say go, I want you to go as fast as you can. And you don't have to stop for mistakes. One of the things about my program, if we try to be perfect, it adds anxiety. If you make a mistake, it's perfectly okay to keep going. But because it's a competition, I would recommend you go louder. You can go as loud as you want, as fast as you can, only directions, top to bottom. Raise your hand when you're done, and let's just see what the range is for the group.
And John, can I jump in that we all can make the screen larger, right? So everybody can see the graphics.
Absolutely. And again, I'll give you an opportunity to get this in paper that you can print out, or you can print this out later. But on the screen, make it as large as you can. If you're on a phone, it'll be difficult, but as large as you can and out loud, right? So all unmute yourself, visualize, because we want those distractions as you try to focus on these decisions.
And so for clarification, it's the direction and then the color, then the direction and the
No color, only direction.
Okay.
Oh, I'm glad you asked. Thank you. Yes, only
and
direction.
is it the vertical row that we are doing, not the horizontal row?
Yes, horizontal. So just like you're reading a book.
Okay,
So
horizontal
left
row.
to right, left to right, top to bottom. Ready? On your mark, get set, go.
Right,
left,
left,
down,
up,
right,
right,
up,
right,
down,
right, bottom, left,
right,
bottom,
down, left, down,
left, down,
right,
bottom, up,
right,
down, down, left,
right, up,
down,
right,
left,
up,
left,
left,
down,
left,
down,
bottom, right,
left,
left,
down, right,
right, bottom, left,
down,
down,
up,
up,
left,
down,
bottom,
right,
left,
left,
up,
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 left,
right,
right, down, left,
left,
top, bottom,
down,
right,
down,
up,
up,
left,
up,
right,
right, up,
right,
right, up,
right,
up,
left,
down,
right,
up, left,
left,
up,
bottom,
left,
down,
down, left,
left,
down,
bottom,
down,
left,
up,
bottom,
left,
right, top,
right,
bottom,
left,
bottom,
down,
right,
down,
right,
left,
down,
up,
up,
right, bottom,
right,
bottom,
up,
left,
down,
bottom,
right,
right,
left,
left,
right,
down,
bottom,
up,
right,
left,
right,
left,
top,
down,
left, up,
down,
right,
left,
right,
down,
left,
right,
left,
up,
up,
down,
top, right,
down,
left,
up, left,
right,
right,
top,
down,
left,
down,
bottom, right,
left,
top, bottom,
down,
left, right,
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 left,
right,
down,
right,
right,
bottom, top,
down,
right,
right,
left,
right,
left,
up,
bottom,
right,
top,
left,
bottom,
left,
right,
right, right,
left,
down,
left,
Keep
down,
going.
left,
right,
up,
down,
up,
left, left, up,
right, up, left,
left,
up, up,
right, up, up,
down,
left,
up,
down,
down, left, up,
down, left,
right, up,
down,
left,
right,
right, down,
right,
up,
right, down,
right,
up,
left,
right, left,
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 down, left,
down, left, down.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So very good range, right? So 114 to 139, very normal. Carol, I see you're covering your ears. I helped. No, that's okay. We won't need, after a while, we won't need to do that. So that was excellent, right? That's kind of your baseline. That's how you're processing now. There's data coming, there's distractions, whatever. This is how well you're processing. One of the reasons we time it is because speed of processing is a very important metric for our ability to perform. So if you ever want to look that up, kids who struggle in school a lot, they have slow processing. If we can speed our processing up and process more data faster, that gives us a huge edge. So now let's do some training. Let's see if we notice any difference. So for this, we're only going to work with 4 cross. And we want to start targeting different parts of executive function, and then we're going to start putting them together. So the first we want to work on is anticipation, which is actually our name for intuition, right? If you can anticipate that something's going to come before it happens and unconsciously prepare for it, whether you're in a conversation with a client or you're playing sports or driving a car, that will give you an edge. And because color is a different part of the brain than direction uses, what I want you to do here is just 3 directions in a color. So right, left, down, blue, for example, is the first row, but this time it's not a race. I want you to try to stay together as you go through this. This actually adds a whole nother dimension to your brain training, right? Because you have to focus on your decisions while you focus on everybody else. This is why this is so huge for teams, because when you start to do this together, you have to anticipate where the rest of your teammates are, and maybe you got to go a little bit slower, a little bit faster to adjust. Create an unconscious bonding. So right, left, down, blue is the first row. I'll say the first row. You guys say the first row with me, then go all the way down by yourselves. And again, once again, it's very important that you don't stop for mistakes, because then you'll mess everybody else up. How often are we on a project and someone makes a mistake, they spend so much time figuring out what went wrong, everybody loses momentum, right? So for this, try to stay together, 3 directions in a color, don't stop for mistakes. Okay, ready?
yes,
Let's go. Right,
right,
left,
Left,
down,
down,
blue.
blue,
Down,
down,
right,
right, up, green,
green,
down,
down,
left,
down,
left,
left,
red,
down,
red,
red,
right,
red,
up,
red,
up, red,
left,
left,
red,
red,
left,
left,
up,
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 yellow,
yellow,
up,
up,
left,
yellow,
down,
sorry,
down,
blue,
blue,
right,
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 up,
up,
right,
right,
red,
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 Good.
left,
left,
up,
down,
down,
left,
green,
left, green,
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 up,
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 right,
yellow,
right, up,
up,
yellow,
left,
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 down, red,
down,
red,
red,
down,
down,
up,
up,
blue,
right, blue,
blue,
left,
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 down,
down,
left,
down,
yellow,
yellow, right,
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 down,
down,
red,
red,
left,
left, up,
up,
right,
right, blue,
blue,
up,
up,
down,
down,
left,
left,
green,
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 down,
down, up,
right, red,
yellow,
right, red.
Okay, good. 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 And now there's some latency because of Zoom, right? It's a little easier for all together, but you guys did a good job staying together. Made a mistake, kept going. But okay. So now the next part of executive function we want to target is pattern recognition. Pattern recognition is huge. Relationships, right? My patterns, your patterns, driving a car, playing sports. Pattern recognition also even helps with memory, because if we have a pattern that we're comfortable with and we just drop data into it, it's easier to remember. So this is going to be a very simple pattern: direction, color, direction, color. So right yellow, down blue will be the first row. I'll lead you off again and just try to stay together like you did. All ready? Let's go. Right, yellow,
Yellow,
down,
Down,
blue.
blue.
down,
Down, red,
red,
up,
up,
green.
green, down,
Down,
Yellow,
yellow,
down,
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 red,
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 right,
right, blue,
blue,
yellow,
left,
red.
yellow,
Left.
Good.
left,
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 up, green,
green, up,
Up,
oh,
yellow,
no,
yellow,
That's it.
up,
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 yellow,
yellow,
down,
blue,
down,
right,
blue,
green, right,
red,
right,
red, red,
left,
left, down,
blue, blue,
left,
left,
green,
green,
up,
up,
yellow,
yellow,
up, yellow,
yellow,
left,
left,
red,
red,
Good.
red,
down,
down,
red.
red.
right, down. Are we done? I mean,
No.
stopped?
I'm at down, down,
Down,
Down, green,
green,
right,
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 blue,
blue,
left,
left,
blue,
blue,
down,
down,
yellow,
Good.
right,
right,
yellow,
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 blue,
red,
red,
left,
green,
green,
right,
right, blue,
blue,
up,
up, green,
left,
red, up,
green,
left,
green,
no, down,
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 green,
green,
right,
green,
right,
right,
red.
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 Okay, good. Very good. Very good. So the thing here too is, remember, you don't have to stop for mistakes. And so this is huge for confidence, right? You say what you see, don't worry about it. You get confident at it, and then you work on timing with everybody else. So very good. Now that was harder for something reason I didn't tell you about, right? The reason it was harder is because it required focus, right? If you didn't focus, you very quickly made a mistake. So one of the most powerful benefits of this program is focus. And you know, improving our focus is huge for our productivity. So every time you do one of these, you're actually training your brain to focus, even though you're not worried, you're not thinking about it. That's what's happening. In fact, all the work that's happening in your brain, you're really not aware of, but there's tremendous amounts. There's dopamine release, endorphin release, and oxytocin release. There's physical changes in all these different areas. And all you have to do is say silly arrows, right? So you get to do the easy part. Your brain does the hard part. Third part of executive function we want to train is working memory, holding something in your short-term memory and executing on it. And for this, very simply, we're going to translate the colors to corresponding fruit. Now, you don't need to write these down, because then you'll be looking at what you wrote down instead of looking at the arrows, because it's okay to make mistakes, right? So the first one, red, is apple. So if you say tomato, it's okay, right? But it's apple. Yellow is banana, green is lime, and blue is blueberry. So apple, banana, lime, blueberry is the first row. Just like you were doing, say it together as you go down the page. You will remember, and just try to keep in sync like you are. All right, and I'll lead you off with the first row. Ready? Let's go. Apple,
Apple,
banana,
banana,
lime,
lime,
blueberry.
blueberry, lime,
Lime, apple,
apple,
lime, lime,
lime,
lime,
blueberry,
Banana,
lime,
banana, lime,
apple.
apple, apple, blueberry,
banana,
banana,
apple,
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 banana, lime, blueberry,
apple,
banana,
banana, blueberry,
blueberry, banana,
banana,
lime,
lime,
blueberry,
blueberry, apple,
lime,
lime, apple,
apple, banana,
banana,
blueberry,
blueberry,
banana,
banana,
lime,
lime,
lime, banana,
banana,
blueberry,
blueberry,
banana,
banana,
apple, apple,
apple,
lime,
lime,
apple,
apple,
blueberry,
lime,
lime,
banana,
banana,
blueberry,
apple, blueberry, lime,
banana,
banana,
apple,
apple,
blueberry,
berry,
blueberry,
apple,
apple,
lime,
lime,
banana,
banana,
banana, blueberry,
lime, lime,
apple,
apple,
lime,
lime,
Nice.
blueberry,
berry, lime,
apple.
banana,
banana, apple.
apple.
Okay, good. You kind of go in sync and out of sync, in sync, out of sync. That's okay, right? You're adjusting, and that's actually taking a lot of brain work, right? To be able to focus on two things. So that's all.
not only that, I keep wanting it to be a lemon.
Oh, I know, it's crazy. I worked with a French tennis team, and they insisted that green was apple because I guess they're apple, you know. But part of that is just not doing what we think, right, and learning something different. So now let's start combining these. So let's combine the anticipation piece, which we did in the first one, with the memory piece. So this one, instead of 3 directions in a color, let's do 3 directions in a fruit. So right, left, down, blueberry is the first row. Okay. And I'll lead you off again. You guys just keep going all the way down. Ready?
Yes.
Let's go. Right,
Right,
left,
left,
down,
Down, blueberry,
Blueberry.
Down,
down, right,
Right,
up,
up,
lime,
down,
down,
left,
left,
down,
down,
apple, right,
right, up, left,
left,
apple,
apple,
Left,
left,
up, up,
banana,
banana,
up,
up,
left,
left, down, blueberry,
right,
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 up,
up,
right,
right,
apple,
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 left,
left,
down,
down,
left,
left,
lime,
lime,
up,
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 right,
right,
up,
up,
banana,
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 left,
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 down, apple,
apple,
down,
down,
up,
up,
banana, blueberry,
blueberry,
left,
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 down,
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 banana,
banana,
right,
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 down,
down,
apple,
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 left,
left,
up,
up,
right,
right,
berry,
blueberry,
up,
up,
down,
down,
left,
lime,
down,
down,
up,
up,
right,
right,
apple,
apple.
Okay, nice, nice. Now, if you notice, that was actually significantly better than the first one, even though technically it should be harder, right? You guys were in sync better, you were kind of flowing. The reason for that is because before it was just a color at the end, right? So you had to look at it in a different part of your brain. But when it was the fruit, you had to look ahead, see the color, translate it to fruit, right? And so your brain starts to push the first 3 into its unconscious, which is exactly what we want. We have a professor at Northwestern that's helped with some of the research. And she said, this is how we start to get into flow state, right? Flow, or being in the zone, is the most efficient processing state. And so if we're making decisions without thinking about it, that's what we can create. So that was excellent. That's really how fast your brain can change. So, but we want to make it a little bit harder again. Now, if you notice, every time you make it a little bit harder, there's a couple reasons for that. One, you have to anticipate. Can I do that? That's the dopamine release. And 2, our brains change from difficulty. If we do the same thing all the time, if we're like, you lift a 10-pound weight, sorry, got a cat in there. If you lift a 10-pound weight every day, you're not going to get much stronger than that, right? So just like your body, we want to make your brain work harder. So each one is harder. Cool things about our brain are, one, it will start to change fastest where it's struggling the most. So we all come into this with a different set of efficiency of cognitive skills, right? But wherever the weaker ones are, those are the ones that will improve the fastest. And also because our brains will rewire around damage, because we're not trying to fix anything, we're just training the brain to do what it needs to do. It's very effective for concussions, Alzheimer's, anything with any kind of physical, if you had a concussion when you're younger, we can make the brain rewire around that. So that's all leading up to this one. It's going to be the hardest one so far. Okay. We're just going to bring the color back in. So we want to do what you just did. You did 3 directions. You had a fruit at the end. Let's bring the color back to the second column. So our pattern will be direction, color, direction, fruit. Go a little bit slower if you need to, but you're doing a great job of staying together. And if you make a mistake, just keep going. So right, yellow, down, blueberry would be the first row. Okay, and I'll lead you guys off. You ready?
yes.
All right,
Okay,
let's
girls,
go.
come on, we're in the home stretch now.
Ready? Let's go. Right,
Right,
yellow, down,
down,
blueberry.
Blueberry,
down,
down, red,
up,
lime,
Down.
down, yellow,
Banana.
down,
Down.
apple,
Apple.
apple,
Apple.
Right.
Right. Up.
Up.
Left. Apple.
left,
Left. Apple.
apple,
Left.
left,
Green.
green,
up,
up, banana,
up,
up,
yellow,
yellow,
down,
down,
blueberry,
blueberry,
Right.
right, green,
green,
Right.
right,
Apple.
apple,
Left.
left,
blue,
left,
Left.
lime,
lime,
Up.
up,
Yellow.
yellow,
up,
up,
banana,
banana,
Left.
left, red,
apple, red,
Down.
down,
down,
apple,
apple,
Down.
down, green,
green,
right,
Right.
berry,
blueberry,
Left.
left,
Blue.
down,
down,
banana,
banana,
Right.
right,
yellow,
down,
down, apple,
apple,
Left.
green,
green,
right,
right,
blueberry,
blueberry, up,
up,
green,
left,
left,
lime,
lime, down, green,
Right.
right, apple.
Nice. That was the hardest one. You guys did great with that one, right? Now, so think about this. If I'd started with that one, you already had something else to do, right? Sorry, John, I gotta do this, right? But each time you do a little bit harder, your brains change immediately, right? You're able to do more and process better. You're able to get that hard one very good. So let's go back to, we're almost done. Let's go back to, actually, sorry, we want to add the anticipation piece. One more hard one. So for this, we're just going to spread out what you just did, right? So 3 directions in a color, 3 directions in a fruit. So the lines there makes it a little bit easier. So the last column by the line will be the color. The one at the end will be the fruit. And now we're going to anticipate each one and remember it. So 3 directions color, 3 directions fruit. This is the full page. And you guys have done this enough times. So instead of me leading you off, I'll just ask one of you to do a countdown. Kathleen, you want to do like a 3, 2, 1, go?
Sure.
And then you guys all stay together. 3 directions color, 3 directions fruit.
Right. Okay, girls, we're in the home stretch. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Right.
Right,
Right,
left,
left,
down,
down, blue,
blue,
Up.
up, right,
right,
up,
up, banana,
Down.
down,
right,
right, up,
green,
green,
Left.
left,
down,
down,
apple,
Down.
down,
left,
left,
down,
red,
red,
Down.
down, up, right,
blueberry,
blueberry,
Right.
right,
up,
up, left,
Red.
red,
Left.
left, down,
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 banana,
left,
up,
up,
Yellow.
yellow,
right,
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 down,
down, apple,
Up.
left,
down,
blue,
blue,
left,
left,
up, right,
right,
blueberry,
blueberry,
right,
right,
up,
up,
right,
red,
right, up,
up,
down, left, lime,
lime,
left,
down,
down, left, green,
green,
down,
up,
up, right,
apple,
up,
Up.
right, up,
Up.
yellow,
yellow,
Right.
right,
left, down,
down, blueberry,
blueberry,
Left.
left,
Down.
red,
red,
Down.
down,
right,
up, lime,
lime, down,
down, up,
right,
yellow,
Blue.
blue,
blue, down,
Left.
down,
Down.
down, apple,
apple,
Left.
left, down,
down,
left, yellow,
whoa,
right, up,
up,
left, apple,
apple,
Right.
right,
right, down,
red,
red,
Left.
left, up,
up,
Up.
up,
banana,
banana, left,
left,
up,
right,
right,
blue,
blue. Let's shout it up,
Up,
left,
left,
down,
down,
blueberry,
up,
up,
down,
down,
left,
green,
green,
right,
up,
up,
right,
right,
apple,
down,
down,
up,
right, red,
red,
left,
left,
down,
down,
left,
lime,
lime.
All
lime and
right.
coconut. We got it.
That was hard. You guys got through it great, right? Anticipated, remembered patterns. So let's do one more baseline and see if we notice any difference. So that's what we did in the beginning, right? Remember, as fast as you can, as loud as you'd like. Don't stop for mistakes. Let me get my timer up here.
trying
just-
to do it personally fast without.
Yes. This is like the very first one where it was a race. So
Okay.
not together, just go as fast as you can. And a really important piece is a couple things. One, you don't want to stop at the end of each row. That's a normal thing to kind of keep going. Most important is don't stop for mistakes. It's huge because your brain will know if you made a mistake. The goal is to get fast, and you're going to find in the beginning, you might be a little bit slower because you're thinking about it, and then you let yourself go and you kind of get in a flow state. All of a sudden it's happening. And then a conscious thought will pop in like, hey, I'm doing pretty good here, or what she's saying, and then you fall out of it and then you want to get back into it.
And it's direction only this time again?
Yes, direction only, as fast as you can. Raise your hand when you're done and let's see how we do. On your mark, get set, go.
Right,
left, down, up,
right,
up,
right, down, right, up,
right, up, down, left, down,
down, left, down, right,
down,
up,
right,
right, down, right, up, left, left, down, down, right,
left,
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 up,
down,
up,
down,
right,
right,
down, left,
up,
down,
right,
up,
right, down,
up,
left,
right,
up,
right, right, up,
down,
right,
left,
down, left,
right,
up, down,
right, up, right,
down,
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 left,
up, right, left, up, right,
down,
right,
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 down,
left,
up,
down, up,
right,
left, down, left, down, right, up, down,
right, left, down, up,
right,
up,
down,
down,
down, left, down, right, up,
down,
right,
down, up,
right,
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 down,
up,
left,
right,
down, right,
down,
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 right,
up, right, left,
left,
left, right,
down,
left,
left,
down,
right,
up, right, down, left, up, right, up, right, right, down, up, right, left, left, down, left, down,
Left, down.
right,
down,
down, up,
right,
left,
right, down,
left,
left,
down,
up,
left, down.
right, left, up. I'm still working on it.
It's all right.
I'm not gonna keep going.
Oh, you should have. You should have. That's okay. It's okay. So you stopped to talk. So that would affect the time, obviously. But so the fastest side was 5 seconds faster. And Carol, if you continued, you would have been like another probably at least 10 or 15 seconds faster than the first time. Okay. So just following along where you were, and you all were faster, right? You're all closer down to 2 minutes. So that's how fast your brain changes. And in order to do that, it has to get faster, right? It has to get more efficient. And you probably experience, you start to get into that flow state a little bit. So a couple of things. One, so the next step, by the way, we won't have time today, but that one you just did, we call the speed drill, as fast as you can. That's the one you want to do anytime during the day, right? If you got a big meeting coming up, whatever it is, run through that. More important, if you get a chance, because we didn't do it today, go a little bit slower, but just add your hands tapping. That's a very important component, right? So you can do the same, everything we went through already, right? The 3 directions in the color, this one. When you add your hands, one, you're engaging both sides of your brain, right? Left side of brain tools, right side of the body, vice versa. Very, very powerful for that. In fact, the professional with the most efficient right brain, left brain connections are professional drummers doing different things with each hand while they're thinking about it. Plus, now you're sending a signal of touch from your fingertips all the way up to your brain at the same time you make a decision. So anything you do with your hands, keyboarding, driving a car, throwing a ball, everything gets better. So I recommend you practice that same thing, just tapping your hands on a table or your leg so all 10 fingertips touch each time you say the arrow. And then you can go back through everything that we did. So with or without your hands, what you just did as fast as you can, not thinking about it, is going to be a huge booster. One of my clients she's a woman. She has a construction business in Montreal. She just started at the same time she was getting a certification. And so she would start writing down everything she was doing during the day, and note when she did one of these speed drills. And so she was so overwhelmed, but after 3 weeks, she said, John, I've freed up so much time I can start dating again. So you can really create time, right, when you're more efficient. So just to finish up, so basically, that's how we do it, right? And so I definitely want you to get this this deck. So when you get it, those arrows that are on those slides, just print them out, right? Instead of just using us, just like Kathleen has, because then you can tape it on a wall, you can hold it, and you're actually using more parts of your brain when it's paper than when it's a screen, which is why all those digital games, you get better at the games, but they have very minimal real world effect. So just kind of to summarize, this is what I do at all levels, right? I process improvement from macro all the way down to organizations to teams. The personal improvement, I've actually developed a way to use the same approach so you can train habits in less than an hour. You can train any habit in less than an hour. So in the time it takes you to read a book about habits, we can change your habits. And then of course, the mental improvement, and then coaching, training, consulting. We also have developed a train the trainer program so we can certify others to do this. And right now, the reason I'm actually out here in Nevada is we're working on a video and an app series so we can help more people less expensively. So a couple of QR codes here. So the one on the left, just experiment with. In fact, Ron Carr told me about this program. If you like this and you do speaking, it's a way to get feedback. So QR code on the left, it'll open up a screen. It'll ask for a code. Just ignore that, go past it. I'm just starting to use this. I'll give you an opportunity to give feedback. The one on the right, let's meet. That'll set up a Zoom call so we can meet face to face and talk more about how I can help you and whatever your goals are. You know, I do this obviously standalone, but I also partner with a lot of other, you know, proprietors because it can kind of reinforce whatever else they're teaching that I can't. The website, kennedymethod.co, not .com, we just launched. It's kind of beta, but it's there. And then my email, john@combatbraintraining.com. You can reach out to me anytime with questions. And I can also send you the copy of the arrows too, if you don't want to print it out from the deck. So threw a lot of stuff at you this morning. So any questions?
Yeah, John, how about if we, could we stop sharing the screen and we'll get back
Sure.
to gallery mode and we'll do
Yes.
some very brief takeaways. How about that, John?
Yeah.
Fantastic. And frustration often precedes mastery.
Yes.
That's my
right.
biggest takeaway.
That's right. And along with that, you know, wherever you struggle, if those are the areas that you work harder at, they go away, right? Very fast.
Right. And I will just say one other thing in practicing this, giving up the internal dialogue that I'm going too slow or I can't get this or I blah, blah, blah. This helps me let it go, John.
Yeah.
Let it go. Yeah.
Great.
So there we go. Good.
Great.
How about
And
you, sisters?
laughter got in the way for me because I'd start laughing and then I couldn't do it. But the other thing I noticed is I had to take my thumb and help me go, oh, yes, left. Oh, wait, I just went right. You know, that visual connection for me was part of making it go easier.
Well, and, you know, a lot of people struggle with rights and lefts. I had one woman before one of my classes say, you know, my husband knows if I'm giving directions, if I say right, he turns left. That went away though, right? Because you can correct that. Just someone I met with the other day.
And what does dyslexia have to do with any of that?
You know, it's interesting. So I've actually worked with some kids with dyslexia. Actually worked with a therapist who used these to help because then his testing got tremendously better. Because what we're doing is we're rewiring the brain to do what it needs to do, regardless of what's holding us back. So it can help with dyslexia as well.
Because I'm one of those who didn't even know that was an issue for me until somebody told me in my 40s.
Okay, all right.
You know, because when I grew up, that really wasn't something anybody talked about.
Right. Well, this can help. This can help because you're retraining your brain to do what it needs to do to be efficient.
Yeah, I just thought I was a slow reader.
This
Yeah.
will help for sure.
Good. Well, thank you. Before we complete, Carol jumping in, Gloria as well, and Sheila, just some takeaways so we can give John a little feedback here, and we'll complete.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. I'm so excited. I love this. I
Thank
have
you.
loved what you've done for so long, and then now to have the application, I'm excited. I have a question.
Okay.
So I found myself categorizing, right? When you gave me the instructions, you said, okay, color in this, the fourth one's color, then this one is the fruit. So then I visually looked at everything. I'm highly visual. I kind of went the down arrow, like, oh, all these are color, then all these are fruit. Then I was able to like go through it. So I don't know why I categorized it in my brain that way, but
Nothing wrong with that. It actually helped you anticipate then when you had to get there, right? Because you knew what you were going to say. No, that's excellent. That's excellent. So the whole thing is, that's the whole purpose of just simple decisions, and our brain will figure out the best way to do them. And in order to do that, it's got to change to make them more efficient. And that's what carries out into the real world. This actually is just, this is just the tip of the iceberg. We have to actually have 2 harder variations of the arrows that we go through, much harder. And then we also have some puzzle exercises that help you physically break things down and think them through before you execute. So whereas it might take you 10 minutes to do the first one, with the trend, you can do it in 10 seconds. And then that applies to meetings, reports, anything else where you have to figure things out and pull them together. The goal obviously is to make your brain do that unconsciously. So when it comes to execute, you can execute fast because you already know what you're going to do. One of my clients is an author, right? She thought it was going to take her 1.5 years to finish her book. She says now she'll do it in 1.5 months. And she was packing for a trip, and she said she was able to pack faster than she ever was before because she could figure it out in her head first, right? Before she executed. So this is universally applicable.
It works, John. It really does. Yes. Yes. Great. Thank you. Gloria, how about you and Carol? Some takeaways.
Yeah, for me, it is. I love the concept of speeding up processing. I think that makes so much sense, and your experience with the military really drives that home. And what I'm taking away is the flow state is really being able to make decisions without processing because it's just natural. Right. And so it gives the motivation, inspiration to want to do more. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. And again, use this. If you got a task that's coming up, just run through this and then your brain's already fired up and ready to go.
I love it.
So I am spending time here responding to your Talkadot survey because I know how important that is as a speaker. And I have used that myself, and it's a wonderful thing. So I really appreciate your power as a speaker, but also the power of what you have done for so many people across the various industries and varieties of people.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you. That's
absolutely
what I love. I love solving problems. Every person I work with, different problems, right? But we can use a process approach to fix. So thank you, Carol.
Great. So thank you, John Kennedy. What a treat. My gosh, what a terrific time. We so appreciate you in the C-Suite Network, Women's Coaching and Consulting Council. So with that, we'll complete and help us, sisters, let's amplify and activate all of our social. Let's give John the boost he deserves for helping us boost our mental performance.
I appreciate it. One more thing I forgot to mention. So I don't know if you ever work with Sally Anderson, because she's also a speaker on here.
Yeah.
She and I are doing an event together in Las Vegas, October 19th. Okay. So we'll try to get the information out through C-Suite, but that'll be a phenomenal event if you can make that, because we'll have her incredible stuff, plus we'll add this and some other stuff. So we're just starting to promote that, but I'll get you that information as well. And again, Kathleen, thank you so much for this ability. I mean, I love doing this, right? Thank you so much for this opportunity.
John, will you be here the day before our Thought Council meeting in November that Sally's doing an event in Dallas?
Yes, I plan to be on that one in Dallas as well. Yep.
So here's the other opportunity because everybody in this live event today is part of Thought Council.
Right.
Ladies, you could all be with John and Sally on the 9th of November here in Dallas.
Oh.
Thank
so
you.
come in a day early for Thought Council and have a chance to be with John and Sally.
Yeah.
Great, great. Great. And so this video is going to go on our YouTube channel and goes out to the general public. And so be sure to contact John Kennedy. We've got all his contact information in LinkedIn, and come to our YouTube channel and also our LinkedIn page. So bye for now, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.